Welcome again for the second time to this Optimising Asset Performance webinar using advanced MES solutions. We'll take a look exactly what MES is. So we're aiming at the utility industry. It's currently undergoing quite a remarkable transformation. It's being pushed by emerging trends that are redefining how we adopt our management strategies. So in order to thrive in an evolving landscape, many organizations are proactively embracing and adapting so to optimize their asset performance, reduce their costs, and improve their reliability. Reliability being something we're very much interested in. But importantly, the other aspect there is they're evolving, we are evolving together to meet our customer needs. So this is very much customer driven. Now we have a partnership with Parsec Automation Corporation, and Parsec have a product called Traxys. That's a manufacturing execution system, MES. So henceforth, we'll just be referring to this as MES. So it's manufacturing execution system. It's not just for utilities, it's an industry-wide solution. It's a platform that when combined with Optimal's experience in asset management, it enables the expertise to be brought together such that it helps our clients to be at the forefront and dealing with the emerging challenges and changes. So it's paving the way for a more efficient, sustainable and resilient energy future. So with two speakers, is just passed to Lazili first to introduce himself, please. Here we go. I think you're on mute now, Lazili.
Right, no, thanks.
Has to be done.
Yeah. So good afternoon, everyone. Good morning, depending on where you are in the world. So I'm Lazili Fulu. I'm the technical manager at Optimal SA. My background is in asset management and reliability engineering. Yeah, I think that's a brief enough introduction of myself.
Thank you, Lazili. And Diego, please introduce yourself.
Thank you, Michael. My name is Diego Rodicio. I am currently the Vice President and General Manager of Parsec for the European market. Just a brief introduction about my profile. I am an industrial engineer specialized in electronics and also in operations management. From the beginning of my career 25 years ago, I realized that I found more interesting the world of operations management than the technical world by itself. So I decided to focus more on how to help industrial corporations to do more, to take as much value as possible of their or from their assets. And in this case, using technology, using software technology. So I was involved in MES market from the beginning. So accumulating vast experience in the utilization of different software technologies, not only Traxys, in different industries.
Thank you, Diego. Just before we press on, I'll just run you through the agenda, but what I'd like to do just to find out a little bit more about people is if you could pop your name and industry and where you are in the world into the chat, please. So who you are, please, what industry, very intrigued as to what industry, and we'd also like to know what part of the world are you joining us from. So go on, somebody start the ball rolling. Don't be shy. UK, that's the first one I see. Okay, hopefully there's a few going in there. One from South Africa, I see. UK, quite a few from the UK, quite a few from South Africa. Not surprising, as UK, Aberdeen and South Africa are our two main office locations for Optimal. Okay, so whilst you're doing that, this is the agenda. We've done our introduction, so we've all got to know each other, which is great. So we're going to have a look at an overview of MES solutions and their importance in what we refer to as an asset-intensive industry. We're going to look at some of the challenges being faced by operators, specific now to the utility industry. Look at some benefits of the solutions, key features of the MES solution, such as Traxis. Have a look at a use case. Consider a little bit about the future of asset management to pull all of that together, and then hopefully, based on what we've been through over the hour, has given you food for thought to enable some questions, and hopefully we can answer your questions or explore a little bit more or go back on anything that you want to dive a little deeper on. Okay, so first speaker up, Liz Ely, over to you, please.
All right, good afternoon once again. So I'll talk us through about Optimal, who we are, what we do. So Optimal, we'd like to, Optimal has established itself as a worldwide specialist asset management strategy implementation partner with an entity in the UK in Aberdeen, and also an established entity in South Africa, in the Gauteng region. Our key areas of focus are enterprise asset performance management and reliability engineering, and those form the foundation for us to deliver our holistic, pioneering, and technology-driven approach to our service offering. Our solutions are bespoke and designed to help asset-dependent organizations to maximize productivity, profitability, and ultimately get a return on investment from the assets. We don't believe in a silver bullet or one approach or one-size-fits-all approach to solving our clients' problems. That's why we like to build our solutions and tailor-make them to fit the customers' or clients' challenges. Hence our partnered approach, which we focus on building extensive relationships with our clients, taking into consideration the client's operational context, how they operate, what they do, and tailoring our solutions around that. So we have been able to achieve this through a business model that focuses on establishing strategic partners with cutting-edge technology who provide us with the solutions which we combine with our asset management expertise to ensure that the delivery of our holistic approach to our clients' needs. Lastly, so we have quite a number of partners, the likes of eMate, which is a CMS system, Parsec, what we're talking about today, with Traxis. Lastly, we have some frameworks that allow us to deliver to exceptional standards, and some of the accreditations that we have, like the ISO 9001, which is a quality management system. We are also an endorsed trainer by the IAM, Institute of Asset Management. We're also a member of SAMA, South African Asset Management Association. And lastly, we have PAST 91 environmental accreditation. So more about our asset reliability as a service. So this is our ARAS service, which is phased in 4 phases, where we strategize, deploy, monitor, and optimize. And the basic idea here is to strategize, to define your business objectives, identify or develop the asset performance management strategy through such services like your asset management policy drafting, RAM studies, criticality analysis, maintenance strategy development. And these are all ultimately aimed to enhance safety, productivity, and business performance. So once you've developed the strategy, you aim to deploy the strategy. So this would be transferred through to a EAM CMS system where the data is collected and we can prepare to manage the change. This ultimately benefits the organization by improving reliability, availability, performance, and mitigating risks, and ultimately safeguarding the business from the cost of implementing such changes. When we move to the monitor phase, so we've deployed the strategy, we want to see how the strategy is doing for us. So we move on to the monitoring phase. We use techniques such as condition maintenance or condition-based maintenance, condition monitoring applications, predictive analytics, and this is how we monitor KPIs like your OEE. Services around this would include asset digital twins, scenario comparisons, online condition monitoring, and root cause analysis. These ultimately assist our clients to focus on mission critical activities and reduce the complexity in implementing such strategies. Lastly, we want to optimize our strategy. So if we've monitored and you see how it's doing, we use the data to analyze how the strategy is doing and prepare to optimize the performance of the strategy. And we do that via asset performance management optimization, asset strategy and spares optimization. And ultimately, the ultimate benefit there is to reduce time to value. Right, so just to put everything in context, this is our ARAS overview. So to contextualize our ARAS model. So at the very foundation, you have the academy. So as we mentioned before, that we like to tailor make our solutions. So the academy assists us in identifying the gaps that we find in implementing our service pillars, and ultimately developing some training content to grow the skills and competencies of the people within the organization or our clients, to facilitate the transition when we move from strategy, deploy, monitor, and optimize phase with very customized academy offerings. So in the strategized phase, it's mostly where we develop the strategy, as I've mentioned before, but for the purpose of this webinar, we'll focus on the optimize phase, mainly asset performance management and MES, where we've partnered with Parsec, who are our partners in realizing MES solutions.
Okay, thank you, Lazili. Thank you for that overview. That's us, Optimal. Now I'd like to pass over to Diego, who's going to introduce us to Parsec.
Thank you, Michael. So I will try to do this simple. We are going to repeat this concept of simplicity during this session, but sometimes, you know, there is no need to complicate things. In our case, our company, this is something that I feel very comfortable with. We are simple from the pure offering that we have in the market, because Parsec just have one product, that is Traxys, and consequently we are a very focused company. Parsec is a technological provider. We are a software factory that we are dedicated to design and build a software product that is Traxys. Okay, so the company was founded in 1987. So for a long time we are extending and enhancing the capabilities for our product to fit with the different clients' need in different sectors, as Michael introduced at the beginning of the session. So we always try to learn from our experiences, our channel and partners' experiences, in order to improve the product capabilities relentlessly. Okay. What is our vision and our focus? Well, trying to simplify. We believe it's time to simplify. So the idea is to use technology in order to simplify something that is complex by definition, that is operations management, independently on the industrial sector that we are talking about. So it's time for the technology to help on that sense. In the past, it didn't happen that way necessarily. Okay, so in some cases, on the top of the own complexity for operations and for operations management, when we decide to implement an MES technology, we had another element that were adding complexity to the equation, right? So the idea is to eliminate that risk and always looking at the challenge as a long-term challenge. So nobody, we are a software company, but we understand from or understood from the beginning that nobody is really interested on buying software by itself. The intention and the interest from our clients is to improve, to take decisions that helps them to be more competitive. So we feel much more comfortable in that field, trying to talk our clients' language, trying to understand their needs, trying to be close to our partners that are helping us to deploy Traxes in their different markets, and trying to learn from that experience in order to do things better. At this point, we believe that we have a very nice technology. We have a very nice tool that is Traxis, based on the surveys that are published. Traxis right now is very extended in the world, so it's being used in more than 120 countries in different activity sectors. We count with more than 9,000 Traxis instances in the world, with a daily number of users of more than 500,000 concurrent users using our technology from different perspectives. So that means that we are talking about a technology that is very mature, that is a standard, because there is no way to reach such a large footprint if you are not a standard, and that basically is long-term oriented, because an important part of our growth, sustainable growth, is based on starting with one client and accommodating all their needs. During the evolution of the use of our technology, so the needs are changing, the needs evolves. It's not the same what a client in one sector is demanding than another client in a different sector. But even in the same sector, depending on the type of process where you are specialized, probably the demand will be different. And uh, going beyond, what we see in some clients is that depending on their maturity level, their demands are different. So even in the same sector with the same type of processes, um, the type of questions that they ask to the system, to the solution, change and differs depending on the maturity of the implementation, of the digitalization journey, etc., etc. So uh, as you can imagine, based on this explanation, you can perceive the complexity around this and the magnitude of the challenge. So we are very happy assuming that challenge. So here we are.
Here we are indeed. Thank you, Diego, for that little overview of Parsec. What we're going to do now is introduce MES as a solution, and why it's important to asset-intensive industries. And by asset-intensive industries, we mean in any sector that have invested large sums of money in equipment, processes, manufacturing lines, whatever it might be. So back over to you, Diego. MES.
Okay. So probably we don't have to describe what MES means and what MES is, because it's something that is well known. When I started, we were evangelizing, right? Trying to explain to everybody why this makes sense. Everybody used to like those words, but nobody was buying anything. So that is why we were evangelists evidently. But now the situation is different. So there is more maturity in the market in regards to what MES means and in regards to why digitalization matters. But it's true that, from time to time, it's like we have to reinvent ourselves, changing a little bit the names for us to justify different approaches. In essence, it's the same. I mean, what is important and what I want to highlight is something that maybe is not obvious for everybody. And I will explicitly, in this case, talk about manufacturing. Okay, manufacturing generates more data potentially than any other industry. So probably we are used to interact with banking, with financial entities, with service companies, um, and we see like everybody is digitalized in those businesses, right? We are interacting with all the different actors digitally. And in manufacturing, we don't have that feeling, right? That is true. That is true. But one thing is real facts and how the situation is in the industry, and a different thing is the potential. So the reason why we are one of the sectors that can generate more data is because it's real time, and real time matters. I mean, when you are doing real time management, you have a vast amount of data that you must be able to handle on the fly, right? That generates another type of complexities that we will have the chance to talk about later on. But instead of focusing on why this is important, I would like to highlight this sense of opportunity. So if we are here not doing a very good use of data so far, imagine that we have a system that allows us to open a visibility window to our operations in order to determine how we are performing, what is happening, what we have to do in order to improve, etc., etc. So this is an opportunity that is huge and that we want to take advantage of. Okay. So some numbers. Okay. This is a slide with some figures that comes from McKinsey. The challenge of digitalizing the physical works means to elevate a business potential that is absolutely amazing. So we are talking about potential until 2025 of $11 trillion in digitalizing the physical world. Okay. By the way, 70% of this total potential business is in business to business environment. Okay. So we are not talking about how to interact with the final consumer, but how to improve operations during the supply chain or in different parts of the supply chain. But when we land these figures into the operational world, in the industrial operations world, it's important that we are aware of some specific facts. Okay, 60% of this value only will be covered if we solve the interoperability challenge. What the interoperability challenge means? Well, look, if we compare how a factory works with how this device works, a mobile phone, in this device, maybe we have 50, 60 different sensors. One app in this device, only one app connected with one sensor gives value to me. So a map connected to the GPS capability inside of the mobile phone allows me to understand where I am. And with a little bit of software, we can trace how to reach a certain location that I want to go to. Okay. Operations doesn't work at that way. Why? Because everything and any process is connected with the other. So when something is happening, we must ask ourselves why that happened, and probably the reason for what we are seeing here is connected with something that happened in a different part of our environment or in a different moment in time, right? Something that maybe happened 30 minutes ago. That is the clear root cause for what I am seeing now. So this is the interoperability challenge. And that means that data is not enough. Data management is not enough. If we really want to, improve operations, we must jump into the information world and not having fixed photos about what is happening, but generating videos that can help us to understand how the operations are being executed. So in this field, why MES? Okay, we are talking about Industry 4.0, smart manufacturing, and all the different technologies, enabling technologies around that, like artificial intelligence, machine learning, robotics, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Well, look, MES is not about Industry 4.0. MES is about Industry 3.0. So we are talking about uh, a technology that is the enabler, is the catalyst for all the other elements to be able to bring more value. Without the right context, probably the value that we are going to receive uh, from spoke solutions is going to be much more limited, right? So the contextualization tool, the main contextualization tool in operations is MES. So from that perspective, makes a lot of sense to have a strong MES strategy in order to grow vertically with other key technologies that can help us to receive even more from that. And let me tell you something additionally, that is that we are in a connected world. That means that it's not a good approach to focalize or focus only on how we are doing things. We are in a world where supply chains are connected or potentially could be connected. So more and more, we are not competing with other company that is doing the same. Our supply chain is competing with others' supply chain. So the idea is to connect with what is behind me, what is closer to the client or between the client and myself, et cetera, in order to facilitate and make the supply chain leaner in that sense. So for that purpose, MES is a key enabler. So what is our message for that? Well, as I said, the motto that we have in Parsec, that is our vision and that we are absolutely committed with, is trying to help our clients to make their manufacturing operations as simple as possible, understanding that they are not simple at all. They are very complex, okay? That is why there is room for us to help to simplify. That is the idea. This motto is in our offices, in the walls. Everybody try to do things in Parsec as simple as possible. And this is not just about how our clients use our technology, but it's about how we want to design our technology. We want to design our technology in order to make their use as simple as possible. This is our challenge, it's our vision, and we are absolutely committed. Remember, we just have one product, so we cannot fail. There is not a plan B. This is our unique plan. Okay. Well, talking a little bit about functional coverage, as you know very well, MES is eminently focused on covering needs from four different pillars. Okay, from ISA 95. It's inventory management, production management, quality management, and maintenance management. So our clients, they usually they are not focused on everything at the same time, right? In some cases, maybe they already have some systems that they are helping them to do things, or they maybe it's legacy systems, or the focus is not there. Simply like that, right? They want to put their energy in some specific areas. But what is important for you to understand is your needs probably will evolve. And maybe you have a picture right now in front of you and you want to focalize in KPIs, in performance, et cetera, but suddenly you will detect that for you to do that, you will have to increase your maintenance level, right? Or solve some quality issues that are conditioning you too much. So basically the idea is, okay, independently on where you want to start from, the idea is to select a technology that can go with you in the future, covering all those different gaps without the need of changing the technology and doing integrations, etc., etc. So Traxxas is a full MES with full functional coverage and natively integrated in order to cover all these four pillars and all the different applications around them. Okay, so and how do we see right now the challenge in regards to MES? Because we are talking about MES for almost 20 years, right? Is the same what we expect from MES or what we expected 20 years ago than what we expect now? Well, the answer is no. Next generation MES must be agile, right? So the needs are changing at the velocity of the business models change. And you know it very well in all your industries, probably, you are suffering important changes in your business models, and you have to adapt. You must be agile and fast in adopting those changes. Technology cannot be rigid, must be adaptable in order to solve different needs when they arise, right? But we are talking about hardware and software technologies. And consequently, there is a rigidity inherently, right? So you will have probably legacy systems. You will have brownfield, greenfield, a mix of different alternatives that you have to put in place for you to generate your digital ecosystem. So this system must be, the MES of the future must be adaptable in order to co-live with your current infrastructure without the need of updating everything for the MES to work, right? Must be as simple as possible. Not simple, but as simple as possible. Not just in order to cover the current needs, but in order to evolve and cover future needs. And this is horizontal, so this is touching different production segments. This is connected with different people at different levels, different roles in the organization. So it's important that we understand all the myriad of needs that we will have around MES in order to have a full picture of this. Must be able to be connected with the different sources, data sources, so we can find multiple types of data sources. So it's important to have the possibility to connect to all of them and extract data from all of them. Of course, our clients use our technology in order to improve. They want to improve. So must have the chance or the possibility to give you answers over the key questions that you will ask. And since nobody has infinite resources, infinite time, infinite money, must be affordable, sustainable, scalable, extendable, but innovative also now and in the future. So that is what we believe represents a next generation MES.
Thank you, Diego. I'm going to move on now. I'm going to pose a question to Lizzie, just to illustrate some of the challenges, just touch on some of the challenges faced by the utility industries. So, Lizzie, your response to that question, please. What are the challenges to the utilities?
Right, thank you, Mike. So as we know, there's quite a number of challenges that face the utilities industry, and it's quite difficult to narrow them down, but we've tried our utmost best to narrow them down to the top 5, which are centered around aging infrastructure, maintenance and repair, regulatory compliance, asset management, and the ever-changing technologies. So aging infrastructure often leads to increased maintenance costs. The older an asset becomes, the more they require frequent repairs. And more often than not, replacement parts become quite hard to find as the assets get older. Due to obsolescence issues, might be one of them. But aging infrastructure can also increase the risk of equipment failure, which can lead to or result in safety hazards, environmental damage, service disruptions. This can also result in regulatory fines and reputational damage for the utilities company, and elevating costs. As replacing this aging infrastructure and equipment can require significant capital investment, which can be challenging for utilities companies to finance while also maintaining affordable rates for your customers. So this ultimately requires utilities companies to establish policies and procedures to identify and manage safety and environmental risks for continual improvement. This is usually done by conducting regular internal and external audits to assess and identify areas of non-conformance, mainly for the purpose of developing corrective and preventive maintenance actions. Many utility workers are nearing the retirement age, so typical of the industry. So their knowledge and expertise might be lost as they leave the workforce or move towards retirement. So utilities workers need to be trained and certified to comply with the safety environmental regulations, which can be time-consuming and costly for the companies to manage. So within the utilities industry, so we see that they're undergoing significant changes, technological changes, as we transition to this industry 4.0, where there's a necessity for technology and real-time data and the analysis of this data. And as such, workers need to be trained to operate and maintain these new equipments and systems. And that would summarize more or less what the industry challenges are.
Okay, thank you, Lazili. Now I understand you're going to explain to us how those challenges are met with our MES.
All right, so the benefits of MES solutions, as we've been harping on the point or laboring on the point. So this has to do a lot with real-time visibility. So MES provides real-time visibility to your production processes by collecting and analyzing data from various sources, such as the machine itself. You can either gather data sources from the mounted sensors or installed sensors on the machine, and MES is able to present this data in an easy to understand format for the real-time monitoring and decision making. So the insight that is generated from the real-time data improves quality by providing real-time quality control and assurance, monitoring processes for defects and deviations, identifying root causes for quality issues, implementing corrective and preventative actions to minimize scrap and rework. MES also supports compliance to quality standards and regulations. MES can increase the throughput of your operations, and also improves uptime. So this is done by monitoring the equipment performance in real time, where you are able to detect or predict equipment failures using this insights generated from the real-time data. And also understand the maintenance needs of the equipment by providing real-time feedback to operators and machines to minimize the waste and defects and ultimately delays within the overall operations. So those are some of the benefits that we can realize from implementing MES solutions.
Thank you, Lazili. That's great. Now, specifically, we're going to look at how Traxys deals with that. So we're going to zoom in a little specifically on Traxys. So back over to you, Diego. Let's hear about Traxys.
Thank you, Michael. So, yeah, we try to identify those aspects, those capabilities in Traxys that we believe typically are more, impactful in asset management. So the idea is to take a look to those features and capabilities. So the first one is, Renita, can we move to the next slide? I am not seeing the slide yet.
I think there's a little delay.
Okay.
It's asset hierarchy coming up next.
Well, probably my screen is frozen because I am still seeing the previous one. Are you seeing the asset hierarchy slide? So, Michael, can you confirm, please? Are you seeing the? Okay, yeah, I
We're
believe
still on the asset management and its efficiency.
Yeah.
So it's still stuck on that slide.
happens to be okay. Here we go. Very good. So yeah, very first, let's try to take a look to those capabilities that we believe help in asset management. The first thing is asset hierarchy, right? So typically, asset management is very asset centric, and that is good. I mean, it's important to have the capability to model adequately in a powerful way assets. From our perspective and from MES perspective, it's not enough. It's a must, but it's not enough. The idea is to connect the asset um, perspective with the value perspective, with what we do with assets. Okay, but yes, the first step is to have the possibility to incorporate in the operational models the hierarchy, a powerful asset hierarchy with multi-level capability, a flexible configuration in order to incorporate into the model any type of asset with all the master data associated to it. Okay, we can have multi-level structures representing all the assets, the components, up to 10 different levels um, into the operational model, and that is the basis for us to create a strong asset management tool. In many cases, our clients have thousands of assets, and the idea is, okay, how we can help and facilitate the incorporation of a massive number of assets. So if we have the same structures, we can create templates. So we can create those hierarchies in a template and then detach that template, creating childs, and basically iterating all the different features that are in the template and keeping the connection between the template and the childs. So that means that when you change something in the template, automatically it does is spread into all the childs connected with it. That helps considerably when we have a very high level, a very high number of assets and a recognizable structure for asset management. But again, asset view is not enough. So the idea is to um, make possible to uh, assign a dynamic perspective to the asset. And we do that by configurability through the different elements that we are going to take a look at, like events, tasks, historian tags, etc. So these are capabilities that allows us to model what can happen with an asset. Okay, so the idea is to create a more extended the operational model that will help us to recreate all of our operations. Of course, we are following ISO 95. Remember, standardization is a key for you to be sustainable. So that is another key element in our data model structure. So the next capability that we believe matters in this case is events management. So when we are talking about asset management, the foundation of asset management is about understanding and having real-time visibility about the statuses for those assets. So events are data structures, interactions that allow us to configure any status that an asset can be in, right? So we can have breaks, we can have stoppages for multiple reasons, or uh, root causes. Events management allows us to recreate all those statuses for all the assets at the different levels that we talk about. So basically, we can create event definitions at a higher level or a lower level. Okay, it's important to understand that if we do a good definition of events, we can start doing diagnose from the on event configuration. So if the event is representing the alarm code or is representing the failure code, when we analyze what is happening in one machine, we have the first level of answers to what is happening and why and what do we have to do in order to improve the situation. And of course, it's the main door for advanced analytics. So around events, we can do multidimensional analysis, filtering, classifying the data. Different type of more advanced analysis can be incorporated around this entity. Okay? Events are eminently real time. So basically, it's important that you understand that the way that Parsec is handling events is that in real time, we are able to represent what is happening in the show floor. So the next capability that we believe is worthy to be highlighted is task management. So in many cases, our clients try to understand MES as data collection. MES is much more than data collection. In almost all the environments, you have to interact with people. Tasks are entities in Traxys that allow us to interact with people, with workers, right? So a task is an electronic form with some data that is going to be requested to the personnel, and basically with a trigger that is configured. So Traxys knows what task must be executed depending on the conditions. So we are going to connect the workforce with the execution, the global execution, and the operational model that Traxys is executing. Okay, and that is a key element. So connecting tasks with a workflow that is a clear extension of task management, we can create much more complex structures. Okay, so a workflow is a set of actions that must be executed, and at some point in some of them, we will have to interact with people, right? So in Traxys, we have a visual workflow capability that doing drag and drop allows us to generate those more complex structures. And then in runtime, we can execute the workflow and take a look to the status of the workflow, knowing in real time where we are and why, and what is the context in behind that, justify where we are and why we are not advancing. So this is a key tool for contextual automation. In many cases, automation goes beyond the capabilities of a PLC. It's about automating manual operations. It's about automating operations from different departments that must be synchronized. So visual workflow is a very powerful tool. By the way, visual workflow is a native tool in Traxys. So everything in Traxys is developed by Parsec. It's not fruit of acquiring external products. It's natively integrated. Okay, so you can imagine all the entities that we can play with for us to create the workflow are all the Traxys entities. So this is an endless, has endless capabilities. Okay. So of course, as we said, the idea is to help to take decisions and improve. So KPIs are really important. In Traxys, we have tens of standard out-of-the-box KPIs, but we have the chance to generate new KPIs based on the data that we have incorporated into Traxys. So in a very easy way, we can do calculations and incorporate tailor-made KPIs that will represent how the infrastructure is performing and what do we have to do in order to improve. Okay, so and then we connect with graphical objects that in a very easy way, with the possibility of diving into the different KPIs and all the substructures. We can go from the more aggregated view to a more detailed view. But the idea and something that we are incorporating more and more is not just giving the capability to our clients to do a post-mortem analysis. When they want to improve, as important as doing a good analysis, a post-mortem analysis in order to avoid that this is a situation that will be repeated, it's important to keep people on the loop. Right? So if something happens and the system knows that this potentially can impact in performance, the idea is to generate an alarm, send a notification to a specific target, and wait for the feedback, right? So in Traxys, we can incorporate those alarms, define those notifications that can be dynamic depending on the context. We provide in the notification specific information about the situation, and then asking for, like you are seeing in the screen, asking for the feedback from the, in this case, the operator, for them to close the loop and try to eliminate the negative impact of a deviation. Okay, so alarms and notifications are a key element. And finally, analytics. So, of course, when you have such a strong database with huge volumes of data, the possibilities for you to analyze that data from different perspective parameters, et cetera, is a key. So we have multiple efficiency scenarios, very complex, some of them. very mature. The same for maintainability and quality. In terms of asset management, reliability is also very important. So we have specific KPIs for reliability, and well, this is something that is in continuous evolution. Okay, in Traxys. So what our clients are doing with this capabilities? Well, just two final comments in regards to success stories. The first one that we believe is worth sharing in this session is AkzoNobel. They are incorporating Traxys in all their factories in the world, and well, their goals were digitalized records to minimize paper in the shop floor, eliminating paper, connecting SAP with the shop floor, and Traxys is doing the interaction, connecting automatically with the shop floor machinery, with PLCs, with scales, with tanks, with the SCADA systems, etc., and closing that gap between the ERP and the shop floor. Uh, then having the possibility to feed automatically data into the ERP, in this case SAP, in order to gain granularity and accuracy in the data that is in the ERP, but at the same time helping the people in the shop floor to take decisions and improve. Okay, you can see the results. This is amazing, 40% in reduced by cycle time. So this is incredible. 70% of non-conformities reduction due to quality issues. Incredible results. 10% of increase overall productivity, right? So we are very, very satisfied with this project that is advancing really fast in different regions in the world. Okay. And the last one is AstraZeneca. They are using also Traxys as the main performance management tool for them. Sometimes when we talk about performance management, people doesn't have the feeling that it's mission critical. Well, depends on how important performance is for you. If performance is a key element of your competitive strategy, then it's mission critical because you need to keep being competitive. So this is what they say. Trax is used every day by the majority of our plants workforce to better understand productivity. Trax is a business critical application for our plant, as it will not be possible to sustain our continuous improvement goals and objectives without it. So that is very good, a very good quote from our clients.
Thank you, Diego. As a good quote to finish on like that, I think those examples are really brilliant. Time's pressing, so moving quickly on. Lizili, back over to yourself, please, for the future of asset management by way of an example using some drone technology. So thank you, Lizili.
Right, thanks, Mike. So the future of asset management, in my opinion, leans more on the adoption of digital technologies. These are technologies such as the Internet of Things, artificial intelligence, and machine learning. So as we know, these are expected to increase with the increase of automation or the adoption of automation. And to improve asset health monitoring and also enable predictive maintenance capabilities. Such advances in asset management have seen a rise in the use of advanced analytics and tools and techniques to enable a more data-driven decision-making process, and the utilities industry is no different. An example here of how drone technology can be used to inspect PV solar panels. So as we move more to renewable energies, so we have solar farms. So these drones are being used more and more in the solar panel inspections to improve the efficiency and the accuracy of these inspections. Since the solar farms are located in such remote areas and they can span over a wide area, so the drone now are being used to survey large areas within the solar farm. So they collect high-resolution thermal images during a single flight, so cross-travel throughout the layout of the panels. And these drones can survey these large areas within the solar farm, collecting these images during a single flight. And the AI algorithm that is that that is in use here. It's able to assist the drone in refining its accuracy. So the drone is able to detect issues at the string, panel, cellular level of the solar panel system in a single flight. And these inspections can be completed in a fraction of time, so far less time than what a typical manual inspection would take. And as we use more and more of these technologies, you see that it actually improves on how fast data can be transformed into actionable insights. And yeah, I think that's where the future of asset management is going.
Okay, thank you, Lizzie. We're running rather short of time there, so Diego, you've got some illustrations for yourself here. Could you pick what you think is most appropriate, the architecture or so forth? Can I also remind people you can put a question into the Q&A if you tap on the icon in the top center of the screen. We will see that and have that recorded. So any questions, can you please get them in?
Yeah, so thanks, Michael. For any reason, I'm not seeing the screen. I'm not seeing the PowerPoint. I don't know if it's not being shared or if this is happening only to me. Just in order to illustrate the last comment, 1 minute. Renita, I don't know if it's possible to share again the presentation.
I think it's dropped out.
Okay, while is being shown, well, the future of asset management, Parsec is a software company, but we have just one hardware component. It's what we call a smart device. Our smart device is, again, a hardware component that allows us to connect with any standard sensor in the world, and basically without any driver, automatically to feed Traxys with that data. Thank you very much. Now I am seeing it. So connecting the smart device with this device that you are seeing in the screen, that is the coordinator. The data is moved by RF. No wire is needed. When you have to cover long distances, this is a very good technology, and without any driver, this can be connected with Traxys. Okay, so this is a technology that we are using in cases where distances are large, the infrastructure is not ready for data collection, we have difficulties to connect and collect data in the field. And if you go to the last slide, I can illustrate the other key element that we believe is going to be very demanded. That basically is what we call SIMs, single instance multi-site. In Traxys, for those corporations that they have multiple sites, we have the possibility of creating one architecture where everything is centralized in one location, and we can have different sites configured in that unique instance. So basically, this reduces constantly footprint and the need for infrastructure. And as you can imagine, if we connect smart devices with SIMs, we are going to have very, very light systems with a very, very low footprint that allow us in a very short lead time to put it to work an MES solution, generating value from the beginning. Okay. Yeah, you can go to the last one. Basically, this is enough. Exactly. So that is all from my side.
Thank you, Diego. Thank you very much indeed. And thank you, Lucille, as well. So can I ask anybody if you have any questions, please? Can you speak up now?
Yeah,
there is a Q&A box, or you can just speak up.
I see a question from Ethan Ritchie.
Yep, we've got a couple of questions there coming in. Diego, is this MES solution suitable for mobile equipment, earth-moving equipment, digging equipment, trucks, and so forth?
Yeah, so basically it's a web-based technology. So all the front end is based on HTML5, is responsive, can be used in mobility, and more we are using mobile phones and tablets for us to interact with workforce. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Another question here, this time regarding training. The MES product, Traxys, when acquired, how does training work for the customer?
Yeah, typically we have, remember, Traxys is a platform, okay? So we have to build a solution over the Traxys capabilities. That solution tries to be standard as much as possible, so we have contents that help us to accelerate the implementation. So when we do the implementation, when I say we, I mean our channel network, so our partners like Optimal, they create the solution. They train the final user into the solution, typically from the functional perspective and from the technical perspective for the client to be able to maintain in terms of information technologies, the solution.
Okay, that's good. That's interesting. Traxys, in terms of usage, we've talked about manufacturing and utilities. How about the applicability in some of the heavy or really heavy industries such as mining?
Yeah, this is amazing because we are receiving a lot of interest in, in those type of industries that are not our natural field, but more and more we are in construction at the different phases of the supply chain. So we have some clients that they are using Traxys in mining in the first stages of, for instance, steel manufacturing and in upstream, in all the processes that are really, really heavy. And they are using Traxys for paperless. They are using Traxys for integration with the ERP, gaining visibility, and of course, performance also.
Okay, thank you. So another question here, the questions beginning to come in thick and fast. Implementation, roughly, given the different ranges of industries, roughly how long does it take to set up a Traxys implementation?
Depends a lot on the scope, on the functional scope, but as I said, the idea is not to start from zero, from scratch in each project. So we have standard contents already generated for the 4 pillars in ISA 95, production, maintenance, inventory, and quality. So when a client demands a solution, we always try to look for the standard contents that are ready. And basically, if you adapt to the standard contents, at least at the beginning, the implementation is very fast. Okay, it's just a matter of connecting the operational model with the data sources and maybe with the ERP. So those works must be done, right? Of course, if you want something very, very tailored and adapted to your needs, Traxys is designed to fit. So basically, you can do that, and the project lasts a little bit more. But minimum projects for OE and performance, with all the documentation, all the meetings, etc., we can have that running in 2 months. Okay, and of course, for much more complex projects, the lead time is extended, right?
Okay, thank you. A few more questions before we close. In very simple terms, Diego, what's the license structure? How does that work?
So this is a good question. Traxys is very versatile and very adaptable, not just functionally wise, but in terms of cost also. So if we want to be adaptable and flexible in cost, our licensing model must be very granular. So basically, if you don't need a component, you don't have to buy it. Okay. The key elements that are included in our licensing model can be represented by my presentation. So I talk about events management. Well, you buy packages of events. I talk about task management. You buy packages of tasks. So basically, depending on the solution that you want to create, we will determine if you need events or not, and you will pay for them or not. Okay? You can start small and grow. Maybe you will need events, but you need just a few. So you can acquire the smaller package of events and in the future activate more events and grow. So it's very versatile on that sense.
Thank you. And just one more quick one to close. Hardware, when would you require the hardware? So you touched on architecture and the physical components.
Yeah, there are 2 potential architectures. Typically, one is on-prem, basically installing Traxys on site, and the other is centralized. Okay, When you choose a centralized architecture, typically we work in data centers or in private clouds, etc., etc. Trax's footprint in terms of hardware is not very extensive. So basically, the hardware needs are quite limited in comparison with other technologies in the world. And we are, I will say nowadays, almost in all the cases, using virtualization. So you can use a big mainstream and have multiple machines running, and adjusting the resources for the hardware to the needs of the solution, depending on how intense it is. But it's not a very intense technology in terms of hardware usage.
Okay, that's great. Thank you, Diego. Right, we've got to wrap up now. We're about out of time. So let me thank Diego and Nazili for all the hard work they've put into this and dialing in today to share with us about Traxys, Optimal, and MES solutions. So big round of applause. If you can find the icon. So thank you very much, everybody. Somebody just asked about sending out the recording. Yes, that will be distributed. We'll have your email address from your registration. So yes, everything will be sent out.
Thank you very much, everybody.
Thank you very much. And thank you for the time from all of you that attended today. Thank you very much indeed.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, everyone. Bye.